My father grew up deep in the Appalachian Mountains, the kind of place where the trees swallow the sun by afternoon and the roads coil like snakes that don't want you to find their end. He worked hard to get out, worked himself bloody, really. Went to college, met my mother, and moved several states away. He never talked much about the place he came from, except to say that it wasn't fit for raising a child. He didn't speak to his parents or his brothers for years. Not until after I was born. I think it was one of his old friends, a man named Clyde, maybe, who told my grandparents they had a granddaughter. After that, the letters started coming. Short at first, polite. Handwriting that looked like it crawled out of another century. Then the occasional phone call. Mama said she could barely understand my grandmother's voice. Like the words are trying to claw their way out of her throat, she said once. I didn't meet them until I was 5. That summer, my parents both took time off work to drive to the mountains. Memory's funny, that first trip comes back to me soft and hazy, like half-developed and weathered film. The first half of that trip was fun. We stopped for snacks in weird roadside museums like the world's biggest rocking chair. But then the road started to twist and narrow. The air grew heavier. The trees pressed in closer, until it felt like the forest was breathing with us. No billboards. No gas stations. No cell service. Just trees and mountains. We finally reached my father's hometown, although calling it a town would have been generous. Really, it was just a few cabins hunched together at the base of the mountain, as if they were hiding. My father told me every family there was kin, one way or another. The way he said it made my stomach turn. Even then, the thing that stuck with me most, though, were the bones. Everywhere you looked, bones. Deer skulls nailed above doors, antlers arranged over windows, bones strung together into wind chimes that clattered softly in the wind. Smaller ones, squirrel, raccoon, rabbit, carved into beads, buttons, and figures. Even the baby's rattle had bones in it. There was one boy wearing a necklace of teeth. I reached for it, and my father snapped, not just scolding, but scared. "Don't touch that," he hissed. Later that afternoon, I heard him arguing with my grandparents outside. Their voices drifted through the warm air towards me. His voice cracked when he said, "I left so she wouldn't be part of this." I didn't understand what this meant, but I remember the sound of it, the way it carried like a warning. We didn't stay long. Mama said we were supposed to sleep at my grandparents' for a few nights, but right before dinner she bundled me into the car, trembling. We waited there while my father stayed behind. When he came out, his hands were shaking, and his eyes were red and bloodshot. He didn't say a word on the drive home. I didn't see them again until I was 10. My father got a call from his brother. Their grandfather, my great-grandfather, had died. My father said he was going home for the funeral. I begged him to take me with him. I think I wanted to understand. To see where I came from, maybe. Mama looked at him like she already knew it was a mistake, but she didn't stop me. The road looked the same, but heavier this time. Like the mountain remembered me. The funeral was held in a clearing behind my grandparents' cabin. There was no church, just a rough wooden box and people whispering. My father and his brothers passed around a cloudy jug. The smell of it burned my nose, sharp and sour, but beneath it I caught something else, something metallic and sweet. After the service, I stayed with my cousins, 3 of them, all boy and all older than me, in their cabin while the adults went to drink and grieve. My cousins told stories to pass the time. There was one I remember vividly. They called it the Bone Eater. They said it was a demon, older than the mountains, that fed on the souls of the lost. It could mimic voices, sometimes the cry of a baby, sometimes the sound of your mother calling you home. It wore the hides and bones of what it killed and wandered the woods on nights when the moon was too bright to be trusted. They said if you ever heard someone call your name from the forest, you were already his. We laughed about it at first, but I remember one of my cousins glancing toward me and muttering, "She's got his eyes." I wasn't supposed to hear him, That night, long after my cousins fell asleep, I woke to a sound outside. A voice, it said my name, softly at first. Then again, closer, "Come out now, sweetheart." I should have been afraid, my body moved on its own. I crept out of the cabin and stepped barefoot into the cold, damp air. The trees swayed like they were breathing, and the moonlight doused through the thick branches and leaves. I followed the whispers of the trees until I saw movement, a shape between the thick trunks, something covered in dark fur. At first I thought it was a bear, but it stood upright. The fur was wet and dark, matted to a body that didn't look right, too long, too sharp. There was an achingly familiar coppery, sickly sweet, and rotting smell in the air. The figure was illuminated by a stream of moonlight. And I saw what appeared to be a man. His body draped in raw bear hide and slick with blood. Strings of bones and teeth hung from his neck and wrists. His face was smeared red, and his mouth was stained black around two sharp teeth. The blood wasn't his. He turned his head slowly, sniffing the air, and then drifted away into the trees. Something inside me wanted to follow him into the night. There was a trail, a dark, glistening trail that reflected the moonlight, leading back the direction he had come. I followed it down to another cabin. The door was open, the silence surrounding suffocating. I remember stepping over the threshold and seeing red footprints on the floor. Then I saw the bodies, a woman. 3 children. An old man. The woman's throat was gone, her head attached by meager strips of flesh and muscle, and face frozen in wide-eyed terror. The children were torn apart like rag dolls, horribly broken little dolls. The old man's face looked peaceful, but his stomach was ripped open, his organs spilled out into his lap. The thick smell made my eyes water. That's when I felt it. A warm breath on the back of my neck, slow, wet, steady. I turned around slowly. I came face to face with the dead old man I had just been looking at, only this version was wrong. Unsettling in a way that triggered the instincts bred into humanity since the beginning of time. It was the man in the bear fur standing inches from me, his eyes cloudy and gray like dead fish. I could see myself in the reflection of his unblinking gaze. He tilted his head, studying me, and then smiled, a slow, wet stretch of lips. He leaned in until his teeth brushed the fragile skin of my throat. I heard a gurgling sound, almost like laughter, then he pulled back, cupped my cheek with one blood-slicked hand, and whispered, so pure, he whispered, his voice like wet gravel. So sweet. He pressed something into my palm, a small leather cord with a long, curved jawbone and teeth strung through it. Then he laughed again, hollow and choking, and walked back into the trees. I stood there and watched him disappear into the trees. I could still feel his breath against my throat. When I woke the next morning, I was back in my cousin's cabin. My father was shaking me awake, saying we were leaving. I still had the necklace in my hand. He told me later that one of the families down the road had been taken by an animal. But when I asked about it years later, he wouldn't talk. He'd just say, "You don't go back up there. Ever." I still have that necklace. Sometimes, late at night, I put it on. When the long and sharp teeth and bone press against my throat, I can almost feel his breath again, and when the wind picks up at night, I swear I can hear his voice in the trees, calling my name. Sometimes, I want to follow it. Would he still think I'm pure? The box of distinctly human ribs and teeth hidden beneath the floorboards would say otherwise. I can't help my appetite, it's in my blood.